Stirring the constant comment tea with chopsticks using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of your constant comment tea. At the molecular level, good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, constant comment tea. Perfect. Perfect. A little bit of honey in it. It's good. I have had coffee. I have just cut down on the caffeine probably by about 50%. And I'm doing great. The letters SDG was an inscription that composers like Handel and Bach put at the end of their musical transcripts. It's short for Soli Deo Gloria, which means glory to God alone, or to God be the glory alone. Wouldn't it be cool if you had an SDG attitude with your work? Everything that you produce, everything that you fix, everything you manage, everything that you create. How would it be different? How would it look? How would it sound? How would it perform? Just something to think about on this Friday morning. Attention. Nobody's going to come to your house and make your dreams come true. There's not going to be a knock on the door and someone says, yes, here, I'm here to help you. I'm here to make your dreams come true. It's not going to happen. Although so many people still live in this fantasy that their life is going to change somehow, some way, magically. Magical thinking. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Late bloomers. You know, a late bloomer is a person that blossoms, grows on their schedule. I can't tell the difference between the person who got out of diapers at 15 months and the person who was still in diapers at 3 years old. Although at that time you're worried about your child still peeing the diaper and not being able to use the bathroom. But when they're adults, you don't see the difference. Don't get hung up on people not maturing at your schedule, at your expectations. Some people just learn differently. Some people learn later. If you are one of those later learner people, good for you. Good for you. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's never too late to learn more, no matter who you are. This picture still makes me laugh. Year after year after year. Her diary. Tonight, I thought my husband was acting weird. We had made plans to meet at a nice restaurant for dinner. I was shopping with my friends all day long, so I thought he was upset at the fact I was a bit late, but he made no comment on it. Conversation wasn't flowing, so I suggested that we go somewhere quiet so we could talk. He agreed, but he didn't say much. I asked him what was wrong. He said nothing. I asked him if it was my fault that he was upset. He said he wasn't upset, that it had nothing to do with me and not to worry about it. On the way home, I told him that I loved him. He smiled slightly and kept driving. I can't explain his behavior. I don't know why he didn't say, I love you too. When we got home, I felt as if I'd lost him completely, as if he wanted nothing to do with me anymore. He just sat there quietly and watched TV. He continued to seem distant and absent. Finally, with the absence and the silence all around us, I decided to go to bed. About 15 minutes later, he came to bed. But I still felt that he was distracted and his thoughts were somewhere else. He fell asleep. I cried. I don't know what to do. I'm almost sure that his thoughts are with someone else. My life is a disaster. His diary? Motorcycle won't start. Can't figure out why. Has anyone ever experienced anything like that before? Hezekiah, shall we get haircuts today? Sure, Zeke, but let's have a pipe first. For the guys that are thinking of wanting a woman. Some of you still want women, I do realize that. You start attracting women when you stop chasing them. Light bulb moment. Have you ever heard of taking turpentine for certain ailments? Just saying. I'll put a link for it down below. Divorced is a term to describe you after divorce just happens. Otherwise, you are single. Many people just go on indefinitely calling themselves divorced. Many forms you fill out, they almost force you to check off the divorced option. That reinforces that big D sign hanging around your neck, divorced. It's okay, if you're divorced, it's okay to start referring to yourself as single. As a matter of fact, I encourage you to start doing that as soon as possible. Let me just take a quick break to address something that's very obvious. About a week ago, I buzzed my head down to a 0 because I needed change in my life. I actually took about 3 inches off the beard. I shaped it a little bit different, and I created something different. A lot of times when you need, and you heard me talk about this in a video the other day, a lot of times when you need change in your life, doing something drastic and radical is like taking an ice bath. It's shocking. It creates a different response from people. Well, I did it regardless of what people were thinking, and I didn't care what people were going to think. I don't care really what people think, but the interesting news is this, is that women have loved what I did to myself. Now, I do this about every 10 years. I've done it at 20, 30, 40, 50, and now, well into my 60th year, going to be 61, I did it again. Will I grow my hair back? Sure, absolutely. But this is something that I wanted to do. I'll never forget Peter Gabriel saying that when he shaved his head, it was like a religious experience. I'm not going to quite go that far, but have a loose grip on things in life. In other words, don't be afraid to shave the beard off. Don't be afraid to grow a beard. Don't be afraid to buzz your head off. Don't be afraid to grow your hair out. Don't be afraid to lose 50 pounds and create a new you. You'll be surprised at the little jump start that it does in your life. It does something to you. Many times when you change the outside, the inside changes, or it sparks change. What is that thing for you? It doesn't have to be permanent, but what is that one thing that you can do, that you've been thinking of, that will work for you? Here's a letter from a watcher. George, I stumbled into your YouTube channel about 2, maybe 3 months ago, and you, sir, are officially my top must-watch show over every other YouTuber I subscribe to. You have a gift of wisdom that God has given you to share with all of us, and I think that you could actually be a prophet in a lot of ways. Well, that's interesting. I am trying to turn all my friends onto your channel. I used to think Joe Rogan was my favorite YouTube show, but after discovering your channel, I put watching your content on my top priority list. I hope to read your books. It would be an interesting read if it's anything at all like your daily videos. Keep up the good work. You inspire me with your unique take on life. Well, thank you, Corey. I appreciate that. I am absolutely convinced that the 3 leading causes of death are stupidity, doctors, and retirement. No one can tell me any different. And of course, there's the last 20 years of life that revolves around taking a handful of medication every day, doctor's appointments, and way too much TV and inactivity. One of my favorite doctors, Dr. Weil, who has kind of in the past year or two has gotten a little too woke for me. but I can still extract some good things out of his past teaching. He says we should live well into our 80s and 90s, and then death comes as we succumb to the rapid onset of age-related conditions. We should remain as productive as we can, which in some cases means still earning or exchanging a service or a product for cash or other products or services, be expected to be somewhere and interact with others. That part's from me. But he says, succumb to the rapid onset of age-related conditions. We don't see people dying of old age anymore, do we? Remember when you were a little kid? What did they die of, Mom? What did they die of, Dad? Oh, they died of old age. Everybody now dies from a disease, don't they? When was the last time you heard of somebody dying of old age? Proverbs 18:22, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Well, that hasn't changed. God hasn't changed. But I will say that men and women have changed. Definitely. We are different. So I think it's a little bit harder, but I still believe that the man who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. I know way too many instances, marriages, where a woman helped turn a man around and get his crap together. Now, ideally, I want that man to get his own crap together and then attract a woman. That would be great. But I also know many instances where a man's life has been ruined because of a woman, or he allowed her to ruin his life through divorce and such. And with the courts the way they are, that man doesn't have a lot of recourse. But I will still say this, because God doesn't change, and I'm not talking about the God pill. I did watch a video yesterday or the day before on the God pill from Rollo Tomasi. It was interesting. I suggest that you watch it, take from it what you can. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are some truths there. I talk about, some of you have heard me talk about waving the magic Jesus wand over everything. In other words, in the name of Jesus, this marriage is going to be great. In the name of Jesus, we're going to overcome these problems. You know, the magic, it's like magical thinking that Jesus is just going to solve all your problems. Divorce amongst Christians hurts just as much as it does amongst non-Christians. You would think Jesus would swoop in and rescue that marriage. It doesn't happen. It doesn't. Can it happen? Sure. Does it happen? No. Once a person cheats or has a desire to cheat, it's over. It's over. I'll just say it like it is. Wandering eyes and a restless heart are the death of a marriage. Why would you want someone back who was with another person? What sick part of you wants your partner back after they have been ravaged and sprayed and injected by someone else? What sick part of you needs to be cut out like a cancer? Oh, I have faith that life will do that to you. Will remove that sick part of your heart and brain that wants to take people back. Keeping it real here, folks. I always do. I never not keep it real. What are the top 10 survival skills? I'm going to list some, and I think you need to write these down. Starting a fire, water purification, shelters, how to tie knots, knowledge of field and forest edibles, small game hunting, skinning, gutting, prepping, cooking, sharpening your implements, knives and axes, first aid, self-defense. What are some other things that you can think of right now? Put your answers down below. I carried Spyderco clip knives for 30 years. I love the Spyderco knives. For the past 2 years, guess what knife I've used more than any other knife? it's not my Spyderco. It's actually this one right here, the Opinel number 8. Wooden handle, simple as can be, almost like an archaic locking system. It's got a collar that turns. I use this thing for everything. I actually keep it home. I haven't kept it in my pocket, but an amazing knife. It's under $20. Everybody needs to get one. And they have different knives for different purposes. Don't get the stainless steel one. Get the carbon steel one. It takes it sharpens easier. I just find it's easier to sharpen, and I love the way that the actual metal itself kind of has a patina. It discolors not long after you start using it, especially if you are cutting any acidic type vegetables or something, like cutting an orange or an apple or something like that. I'm not in a hurry to polish this blade. I kind of like how it's darkened up a little bit. It's nice. Feels good in the hand. A number 8. If they do have smaller ones, they do have larger ones, but the 8 is actually quite perfect. Fits in your pocket perfectly. The Opinel number 8. I ran 20 minutes on a treadmill last week. The manager of Target told me that I need to go join a gym. It was from comedian Tim Grill. Remember the cartoons back in the 60s that showed some like raggedy looking prophet looking guy standing on a corner holding a sign that says the end is near? I am the guy. That's not the doomer, the nihilist. I'm the guy that says the beginning is near. Life is over with as you know it. It's done. It's not going back. I almost got mad at some of the people that were saying that a year ago. Now I don't believe for 1 second we're going back to normal. The beginning of something new is near. You can either get depressed or you can do something about it. You will either have to learn how to dance with the new everything or just fade into the landscape and be a nothing person. The scam dem ick has created more sheep than anything in history. It wasn't just a small part of Europe, okay, which is where I expect most bullshit to come from. It's now global. There's villages, damn villages of 50 people, with someone telling another person to wear and take the... It's everywhere now. It's everywhere. What are you going to do? Don't write me, because I'll tell you to go yourself. Which I have done. What are you going to do? The beginning is near. That's not the bad news, that's the good news. Remember, you are not depressed. You're just discouraged. You're not depressed. The antidote to discouragement is courage. And I know this just spoke to somebody. You're not depressed. You're discouraged. You need courage. You know, guys, you meet a gal on a dating app. You take a picture of her on the date. She's holding up her wine glass, smiling, tilting her head. You text it to her. It's the best picture she's had of herself in a long time. But that very same picture she uses as the profile pic on the very same dating site. Guess what? You just helped her market herself to the next man in her rotation. Good job, bro. Good job. Rule number 1, stop taking pictures of women on dates. Stop it. Stop it. That $200 dinner just became a $500 dinner. Stop it. Oh, and the $500 dinner, the $200 dinner, the $100 dinner, that's a no-no, dude. That's a no-no. Meet for coffee. I like this. Meet a girl for coffee. That way, nobody is under the influence of alcohol. Nobody. No dinner at first. Coffee. And talk. Coffee and a stroll. I like to say that. How about a cup of coffee and a stroll? Does that sound good? So much better than dinner. If you are dating. And I don't blame you if you're not. Men are just backing out of that scene. Men are just exiting from the dating life. It's kind of funny. You know, I did an experiment. I remember, I guess this was maybe in 2015, where I said, looking for my profile on a dating site said, looking for a good wife, not just a good time. Experiment. 0 responses. Okay? 30 days later, I flip-flopped it. Great experiment here. Not looking for a wife, looking for a good time. Literally, by the end of that day, 16 women emailing me. Hey there. What's up? Nice pics. And I thought, how interesting. Putting themselves on my radar. Looking for a good wife, not a good time? 0. Goose egg. Zip. 0. Nada. Nothing. And ladies are bitching and moaning about not being able to find a good man? Holy cow. There is an expiration date on most relationships. Unfortunately, it's only visible to those outside the relationship. The involved parties are usually blind to it and insulted if you say anything to them. Expiration dates usually appear when one is in a hurry to become part of a couple or just can't enjoy singleness in its purest form. For you single guys, do you enjoy being single? Do you enjoy your state of being? You enjoy it. Are you an option? Are you an option? But you need to spin plates. Okay, you can spin plates. As long as you are one of those plates. A chick flakes out on you? Guess what? You get to stay home and read and have a cigar and get a good night's sleep and be able to get up early the next day and feel great. And it didn't cost you anything. You are an option. Never, ever forget that, my friend. Ever. And with that, finish your coffee or your tea. The Daybreak Show will be daily on Patreon starting next week. It will always be here on YouTube on Fridays, but it will be on Patreon daily. Thank you for watching The Daybreak Show, your home of sanity, clarity, and reason.
Be inspired. Do something about your life.
Deep in the shadows, I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other. So far as the echo, where do we start? You can learn to discover a million stars. Here in the shadows, I know you're scared. Take my hand, together we'll make a stand. We've got to fight to find a way. Dare to fall to find out what to say. No more hate. Just admit that you're just afraid. Time to let go of all your fears and pride. Stand up beside me, don't you hide. We can be Pledge your spirit for the cause. We should be equal, should be living free. All together, one and all, let's build a dream. No more hate. Just admit that you're just a